Welcome to the Jehovih Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cal.
In every corporeal world, created I a vortex first, and by its rotation and by the places in the firmament whither it traveleth, caused I the vortex to conceive the corporeal world. A great vortex created I for the sun, and within this vortex and subject to it, made I the vortices of many of the corporeal worlds. Think not, oh, think not, think not. Oh think man, not. That I created the sky, a barren waste, think not. And void of you. Even as man in the corporeal form is adapted to the corporeal earth, so is he in the spiritual form adapted to my ethereal worlds. Three great estates have I bestowed on man: the corporeal, the atmosphere, and the ethereal. Things that man sees, created I with a beginning and an end. But the unseen I made of endless duration. The corporeal man made I belonging to the scene, but the spiritual man made I as one within the unseen and everlasting. As the corporeal man beholdeth corporeal things, so doth the spiritual man follow upward the evaporated corporeal entities of things. As corporeal things are tangible to corporeal world.
Creating custom clothing with tap stitch is simple. Start by choosing a garment, then click Design Now. On the left, you'll see 4 main tools. Upload lets you add your art.
Everything meets me where it's I wake up with the sun on my skin. Check the stars, yeah, I know when I win. Numbers talking every time I move. 111 saying trust the truth. Copper wrapped around my energy. Crystal sing harmony. brings me back to myself. I'm a goddess, I'm glowing everywhere I go, knowing the universe been showing me love. I'm alive, yeah, I'm chosen, intuition in my motion. I don't chase, I'm open to love. Yeah, my life got rhythm, every step divine precision. I was built for this position. Yeah, my life got rhythm, every step divine precision. I was built for this position. Astrology map my lane. Saturn taught me patience through the pain. Chakras spinning clean and wide. I feel my power when I decide. I don't question why I shine. And the frequency was always mine. From the ethers to the ground. Oh, what's been truth, bring it loud. I remember who I am. Light encoded in my everywhere I go, I'm knowing. Show me yeah, my life got rhythm. Every step divine precision. I was built for this position. No fear in my walk, no doubt in my tone. I speak things alive, then I leave them alone. I'm not lucky, I'm tuned. I don't beg, I commune when the veil gets thin. Oh, now let's go. I'm gonna feel a coming up.
I put on my black shades because my future is so bright. Roll me up a spliff and so I can get right. No worries on today, I took the day off. Jamming on the red star. We'll get there walking or by car. Not matter how far. Mr. Cloud Kicker, please don't hurt them. False gods, we gonna work them. Them sacred book got to judge them. You bring them, we raise them, have to serve them. Tons from the depths of my being, organically real. Center of the feeling goes far beyond the ceiling. We got that good stuff in Cosmonera. I got that good stuff in Cosmonera. We got that good stuff in Cosmonera. You got that good stuff in Cosmonera. It's 420, I feel like I'm about to float. Been to a few nations like a spotted coat. Head on swivel in the spirit, intuitive gold. Our stars can't be replicated, now act like you know. We be jamming on the red star with my friend. I got that good stuff, yeah, in Cosmonera. You got that good stuff in Cosmonera. You got that good stuff, yeah, in Cosmonera. We got that, yeah. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, yeah. Woke up this morning with no attitude. There's a song in my heart in gratitude, yeah. With a wanna bang bang on the yogi. Meditation is my dance. The ever-presence told me to wise up. Take the gang and rise up. No heroes, no leaders, no egos. From where the blues play to Cali, USA. That's dreadful, but in a good way. Celebrate the creator on today. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Negative thoughts don't stand a chance. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Meditation is my dance. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Negative thoughts don't stand a chance. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Meditation is my dance.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung, heard his word, and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung, heard his word, and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
Before the earth took shape, new sound of sight, the creator sliced the time in the day and night. He breathed through void till the ether stirred, then sent angels and prophets to teach his word. Motion,
Notion, devotion aligned, encoded design in the spine of time. Wind wrote signs on the breath of the prime. S intertwined with the flesh of the line.
quicken the killer, conceiver entwined, dual divine, the ether confined, two entities birthed, corporate S, life compressed in the vortex nest, spirit in the mist, physics resist, matter persist in Jehovah's fist, dust kiss flame, play became twist, anatomy gift from the infinite list, male and female named through air, EOE, that sacred blare, not beast, not star, not anywhere but the whisper of wind as a builder's prayer. Vortex speak, the sequence hum, the life resume. From void to bloom, to eat the groom, creation's womb. Every tune in the flames plume, a living room. If your soul need food, here's what you consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
3 states of worlds I made, corporeal terrain, an atmosphere and chain to Etherian planes, ether the pure, obscure domain, the ghost of light, free the soul from shame, atmosphere, field and flow, AGA, nebula glow, currents collide where the comets go, gravity bend with the vortices, so sound became law, law gave sight, and every soul aligned in Jehovah's light, his love gave reason and the heart retuned, if your body need rest, here's the text to consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
Before the clay inhaled the spark, the plan was grand. See moose spun pulse through the dust of man. Ether expand to where the blueprint ran. Spirit tied to flesh by Jehovah's hand. Angels descended, intelligent, warm. Walk with Azu where the light was born. Heaven breathed with immortal form. Lord met love and the veil was torn. The seed took root in the coil's perfume.
since evolved under the sun and the moon. Time broke the sleep of a deep commune, and now man learns pattern from teeth to spoon, from breath to balance. The Most High drop clues from speech and sequence. The spirit world moved from page to prophecy through mahogany hues. If your mind need peace, here's the key to consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry simple.
Heard his word and the world begun.
Motion one.
Devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
The book of Jehovah.
Right back like I left something. It's your hostess with the mostest, holding that fire like a roach clip. Your naga, your nerve fresh up off of that curb. Jelly jamming preserve. Cosmonian, the cloud kicker. Right back up in this thing. Hey, as we take a step back, man, look at the world, man. There's a lot of things going on. And one of the hottest things going on right now is the United States Israeli-Iran war. Have y'all ever stopped to think just for a second, what if Israel loses this war? You ever stop and think about that? What if Israel loses? Well, you know who did think about that? Israel. Yeah. They sure did. And this is why salute to everybody coming in. You dig what I'm talking about? Love, life, balance out there, man. All praises to the ever-present creator, the one who always was, is, and ever shall be, man. Salute to those who are today standing by the creator. Those are the Americas, that the Owaspi calls the remnants of the great Algonquin. Says those people who stand by the creator today in 2026, they have a book that is a power and will soon change the world. Well, when war is applied across the world, there's always two things that come up out of it, right? Well, three things, right? A winner, a loser, and money. Remember, wars are money grabs. They're power struggles. You dig what I'm saying? They're power struggles. So, did you know that if Israel just by chance happens to lose this war, did you know that per their nuclear options, which they deny that they have a nuke, but we'll get into that, they have a option that if they lose, they'll even nuke America? Did you know that? This is why I'm bringing this out. I ain't heard nobody bring out talking about the Sampson option. That is the option, right? That if Israel loses this war, it will detonate all of its nuclear weapons, submarines, bombers, everything, and even to the United States. We'll get into it. This is Jehovah Chronicles, number 308. This your hostess. You did your host with the most. You dig what I'm talking about? And we're gonna get into the Sampson option. The option to, if all else fails, nuke even America. Ain't no friends in love and war, don't they say that? Well, don't be surprised. I think it was Nas who said it the best. He said, watch them knuckers that's close to you. Make sure they do what they supposed to do. Because you know they be thinking about smoking you. It's never personal. Nowadays, that's the ways, and Israel's playing the game. Huh? But don't let it let it seem like America's just the innocent bystander in this. Huh? But playing around America, huh? These chickens will come home to roost on you too. Remember, it's always the dude that's saying he your friend. Huh? It's only the people close to you that can hurt you. Right? Let's get into Israel's secret nuclear weapons program and the Samson option. Right? The Samson option. We'll get into it, right? Let's just show a little vid on it real quick and we'll go into some background on it. Let's check it out.
And its Samson option. While the US and Israel have spent years warning about Iran's alleged nuclear weapons ambitions, despite Iran having nuclear weapons, about Israel's secret nuclear weapons stockpile and its Samson option. While the US and Israel have spent years warning about Iran's alleged nuclear weapons ambitions, despite Iran having no proven nuclear weapons and remaining under international inspection, it's actually Israel that possesses one of the most powerful and secretive nuclear arsenals on Earth, not Iran. And according to investigative reporting and whistleblower testimony, Israel maintains a nuclear doctrine that's called the Samson option, and if ever triggered, could unleash destruction on a global scale. Israel has never officially admitted to having nuclear weapons, but international experts and former officials widely estimate its arsenal to be over 200 nuclear warheads. And in a rare private admission surfaced from former US Secretary of State Colin Powell, he wrote in leaked correspondence that Israel possesses 200 nukes, all targeted on Tehran. The heart of the program is the Dimona nuclear facility in the Negev desert, a heavily guarded complex built in the late 1950s with French assistance.
Huh? This is where the nuclear way station is for in Israel. Guess where they stuck the black people when what was his name? Ben Ami and all them left from over here and you went back over there and they went and set up Dimona. Yeah. Now does it make sense why they stuck the black people out there? And now does it even make more sense now that you see the people are coming back with serious types of cancers, all types of diseases, and you dig what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? That my shout out to my brother, the mighty Hebrew, man. You dig what I'm talking about out there? Trying to hold on and keep it together, man. But they did these boys dirty from day one. Set them right out there in the desert next to a nuclear reactor. But look what they was doing there. Huh? Look what they was doing there.
The heart of the program is the Dimona nuclear facility in the Negev desert. Heavily guarded complex built in the late 1950s with French assistance. Intelligence assessments concluded decades ago that Dimona was producing weapons-grade plutonium. Israel is also believed to deploy nuclear weapons through multiple delivery systems, including long-range Jericho ballistic missiles, nuclear-capable aircraft, and submarine-launched cruise missiles, giving it second strike capabilities even after a devastating attack.
Now you hear that? So they could wipe Israel. They could have they got a what's called a nuclear football. So, if the right person dies, it sets the whole system off. Right? Remember who Samson was in the Bible. Remember, Samson's final act was to kill 1,000 of the Philistines by wiping his own self out. Hence, the Samson option. I want y'all to see this, though. They talking about Dimona. This is why they stuck the people out there next to these nuclear reactors. So it shouldn't come as no surprise that you are seeing today a acceleration in all types of cancers out there. Even my brother Mighty Hebrew again, his wife was affected by this, man. And all praise to the Creator for bringing that sister through on the other end, man. But dang, that brother had to come on down into Africa more to save his life. Right? Remember, the whole purpose, and this is what they don't want to tell you, the same God that Iran is praising is the same God Israel is praising, and he's praying both sides against the middle to cause the most damage, right? Because the point is to kill everybody. Why? Because that adjusts the numbers of the willing slaves that go into his heavens as dupes, right? Unknowingly becoming willing slaves into the heavens of the false entity. That's why war.
Colin Powell, he wrote in leaked correspondence that Israel possesses 200 nukes, all targeted on Tehran. The heart of the program is the Dimona nuclear facility in the Negev desert, a heavily guarded complex built in the late 1950s with French assistance. Intelligence assessments concluded decades ago that Dimona was producing weapons-grade plutonium. Israel is also believed to deploy nuclear weapons through multiple delivery systems, including long-range Jericho ballistic missiles, nuclear-capable aircraft, and submarine-launched cruise missiles, giving it second strike capabilities even after a devastating attack. Now, the most direct confirmation came in 1986, when Israeli nuclear technician Mordecai Vanunu leaked photographs from inside Dimona to the Sunday Times, revealing what experts said was an advanced nuclear weapons production operation. Vanunu later explained his decision to release those photographs simply by saying, "I am the spy who told the truth." His disclosures suggested thermonuclear capability far beyond what the public had been told. And soon after, he was abducted abroad by Israel's Mossad and imprisoned for 18 years in solitary confinement. Former President Jimmy Carter likewise acknowledged publicly that Israel held 150 or more nuclear weapons, one of the few open recognitions by a Western head of state. Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh, in his book titled The Sampson Option, reported that by 1969, the
Now, wait a minute. You heard they just brought up Jimmy Carter and all that, and it made it sound like he did a good deed, but remember, the left hand, you dig what I'm talking about, is always washing the right hand. The right hand is always washing the left hand. Yeah, the left wing don't know what the right wing doing on the bird, but they both pushing the body forward. The wing don't know, the bird know though. You see what I'm saying? Listen, they are complicit. We gonna get into this, we gonna get into this Sampson option. Listen,
one of the few open recognitions by a Western head of state. Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh, in his book titled The Sampson Option, reported that by 1969, the United States and Israel reached a quiet understanding that Israel would not publicly declare or test nuclear weapons, and Washington would stop pressing inspections. In effect, Hersh argued that the world's most sensitive weapons program was allowed to exist under deliberate political silence and cover by the United States. And at the center of Hersh's reporting is what became known as the Sampson Option, named after the biblical figure who brought down a temple upon himself and his enemies. The doctrine refers to a last resort scenario. If Israel faced an existential defeat, it could launch overwhelming nuclear retaliation. Israel's long-range missile systems are believed capable of reaching not only the Middle East and West Asia, but large parts of Europe, Russia, Central and South Asia, and potentially beyond. Submarine-based systems extend that reach even further. In practical terms, nuclear escalation would not remain regional. Fallout, economic collapse, and retaliatory strikes could directly affect populations across Europe, Asia, and potentially draw in global powers, including the United States, turning a regional conflict or war into a worldwide crisis within hours. Public intelligence assessments continue to state Iran does not possess nuclear weapons. Israel remains entirely outside the treaty system, and in fact has historically assassinated Iranian nuclear scientists and researchers. So let's be clear, the United States created a Frankenstein, an out-of-control apartheid state armed with nuclear weapons, facing genocide charges, and operates with little international constraint, while enforcement of nuclear rules is clearly selective against adversaries. U.S. military backing and political cover by the West have created a geopolitical force whose decisions could affect not just one region, but millions of people across Europe, Asia, and even the United States if nuclear escalation were ever unleashed.
Agency 9.
All right. Let's get to some of this information. Now we know that what the Sampson option is, right? Let's delve into it a little deeper, right? The Sampson option, right? Let's look into it. The Sampson option, or the Beterat Shisham, is a deterrent strategy of a massive retaliation with nuclear weapons as a last resort against any country whose military has invaded or has destroyed much of Israel. The term was popularized by Seymour Hersh's 1991, the Sampson option, Israel's nuclear arsenal and the American foreign policy. Commentators also have employed the term to refer to situations where non-nuclear, non-Israeli actors have threatened conventional weapons retaliation. So basically, for anybody saying, you dig what I'm saying, we ain't going, or you're gonna have to pry it out our cold dead hands and we'll blow it all up before we let you get it, right, is now being called an overall Sampson option. But we want you to see that this is in real life a deterrent strategy for people who have been, or a people who have been allowed to just deny or buck dance away or move the goalposts from admitting that they have nuclear weapons. But it's not, this is a well-known, this is the worst hidden secret of all, right? And we've known since the 60s that not only did they have nuclear capabilities, but they had already put the bomb together. The United States is complicit, right? And allowing this, and even creating the climate for where a Sampson option could even be possible, right? The name is a reference to the biblical Israelite judge Samson, who pushed apart the pillars of a Philistine temple, bringing down the roof and killing himself and thousands of Philistines who had captured him. Okay. Now, Samson, right? When the Lehi militant group were discussing ways to assassinate General Evelyn Barker, the British Army commander. This is the Jews trying to assassinate the British Army commander, right? In mandatory Palestine, a young woman volunteered to do the assassination as a suicide bombing. She said, "Let my soul die with the Philistines." As a reference to the Samson story in the Bible. Other members of the group rejected her offer. Right. Let's look in here. real quick. Let's drop down just a little bit. Because this is how they've been handling this. And we're going to go look into some of these names, right? And see who these people are, right? Because you know your brother got that book. Ooh-wee. And you know I've been reading through this thing. And this is heavy. I had to bring this out. All right, watch this. This is about Israel and its nuclear ambiguity and how and why it's allowed to do that, because they always, have you noticed, every day they always saying Iran shouldn't get a nuke, Iran shouldn't get a nuke, but Iran didn't attack anybody in the Middle East. Not one person. They didn't start any of this. Israel did. Backed up by the United States. They did not sign the non-proliferation treaty. They're the only nuclear power in the Middle East that has not signed the nuclear proliferation treaty. They always talk about Israel shouldn't have a bomb. I mean, Iran shouldn't have a bomb. Iran shouldn't have a bomb. Iran shouldn't have a bomb. They flaunt that in the fact of that they have underhandedly and were allowed to create a nuclear bomb behind the scene using U.S. everything, dollars and everything. Jimmy Carter was one of the biggest dummies, right? We'll see that they've been caving to Israeli to the Israeli government since the 70s. How many of y'all have ever even heard about the KH-11 spy satellite? Huh? Y'all don't even know about it. The biggest piece of technology in the world in the end of the 70s, being ran by the United States, most sensitive, they just gave it over to Israel. Why? Huh? And watch what Israel say about American politicians. They just call them dumb. You dig what I'm talking about? Like, they just greedy and stupid. And they play them as such, I guess, as they should. Right? I guess as they should. But let's get some more into this Sampson option and how they have nuclear ambiguity. Right? Israel refuses to confirm or deny it has nuclear weapons or to describe how it would use them. A policy of deliberate ambiguity known as nuclear ambiguity or nuclear opacity. This has made it difficult for anyone outside the Israeli government to describe the country's true nuclear policy definitively, while still allowing Israel to influence the perceptions, strategies, and actions of other governments, like Iran, like Syria, like Lebanon, like Iraq. However, over the years, some Israeli leaders have publicly acknowledged their country's nuclear capability. Ephraim Katzir in 1974, Moshe Dayan, remember these names. Moshe Dayan was an Israeli military leader and politician as commander of the Jerusalem Front and the 1948 Arab-Israeli war. They call it a war. I call it a genocide, where the Israelis genocided the Arab people and moved them into the land and captured roughly another 750,000 people, moved them into the Gaza Strip, in sense making it the biggest concentration camp in the world. After getting supposedly getting out of the, purportedly, after just getting out of the Holocaust, they create one. That's crazy. Chief of the General Staff of the Israel Defense Forces, 1953 to 1958, during the Sinai War, as defense minister during the Six-Day War in 1967. Remember that name, Diane. Remember this name, Shimon Peres, was an Israeli politician and statesman, right? Served as prime minister, and as president, right? They threw him in there, but you gonna see he a puppy in this. He a young dog, but he in there too. But remember these names. It's gonna be some more. Moshe Dayan, Shimon Peres, right? Watch this. Let's go. Right, now we know some more about it. Hold on one second. I want to show you this. Real quick. Hold on. I just want y'all to know that this is a well-known thing. You dig what I'm talking about? They can only be ambiguous because the United States allows them to. Right? Like I said, if this is supposedly a secret, it's the worst well-kept secret in the world. Right? I just want to show y'all it first before we even get into the books, that this is well known. You dig what I'm talking about? This is definitely going to be the Samson option part 1. We're going to lay down the foundation of it, show y'all it, and then we're going to go into this book. Because it's way worse than what you think it is. And if you think it ain't real, oh well, it's your wake-up call today. You're going to learn today. Hold on.
An American satellite, Vela 6911, registered an odd double flash.
Tonight, it appears another.
You're
In
going
the
to learn
middle of the
today.
night, on the 22nd of September 1979, an American satellite, Vela 6911, registered an odd double flash.
Tonight, it appears another nation has joined the nuclear club and has actually exploded a nuclear device.
This right here is the unmistakable fingerprint of a nuclear explosion. But by 1979, nuclear tests like this were banned. Someone had chosen to break that pact with humanity, to test in secret the world's deadliest weapon. Most of the evidence pointed to a joint test between Israel and apartheid South Africa. The Carter administration buried it, and to this day, it's never been officially acknowledged. Today, the world prefers to watch Iran. Western media spins tales of doomsday bombs built in hidden bunkers by rogue Iranian scientists. But the Middle Eastern nuclear threat isn't in Iran, it's in Israel. Israel claims Iran will threaten rivals with nuclear weapons, but Israel has done that. They claim Iran will sell nuclear weapons to oppressive regimes, but Israel has done that. Israeli nuclear policy includes the Samson option, named after the biblical warrior Samson, who, when captured by the Philistines, tore down the pillars of the building where he was chained killing himself and his enemies in one final act of destruction. Israel's Samson option vows that if it ever faces an immediate existential threat, it will destroy the entire region along with it, launching its nuclear arsenal indiscriminately. Israel's other nuclear policy is called strategic ambiguity, a diplomatic fiction where it will neither confirm nor deny its nuclear assets. But it's well known that they possess about 90 to 200 nuclear warheads ready to fire. Israel is one of just 5 countries that refuse to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It refuses to allow in inspectors from the International Atomic Agency. 9 countries have nuclear weapons, but only one of them refuses to admit it. This is the story of how Israel got the bomb and how the world let it happen. Beginning in April of 1948, 3 Zionist militias, the Haganah, the Irgun, and the Lehi, set loose Plan Dalet across Palestine. Plan Dalet called for the destruction of villages, setting fire to, blowing up, and planting mines in the debris, especially those population centers which are difficult to control continuously. And the population must be expelled outside the borders of the state. The Zionist militias wanted as much land as possible with as few Palestinians on it as possible. One order read, "We saw a need to clean out the inner Galilee and to create a Jewish territorial continuity in the entire area of the Upper Galilee, in order to cause the tens of thousands of sulky Arabs who remained in the Galilee to flee." This was an orchestrated campaign of expulsions and terror that destroyed 500 Palestinian villages and emptied 11 Palestinian cities, driving 800,000 Palestinians from their homes and farms to make way for a Jewish majority state that otherwise could not be assured.
Today, 3.5 years after the cessation of active fighting, the Arabs are still crowded in camps in the countries surrounding Israel. The only acceptable solution of their problem is their immediate return to their former homes in Israel, now generally occupied by Jewish settlers.
The United Nations mandated that Israel let the Palestinian refugees return to their homes. Instead, Israel shot those that tried to return and seized their homes and property. One Israeli report from the 4th of December 1948 stated, "Successful shooting at Palestinians trying to return to the village of Blamia and who attempted to retrieve their belongings." David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister and the architect not only of the new state, but of the mass displacement that birthed it, had worked with the British Empire for decades and saw how they controlled conquered populations. Just 10 years earlier, the British killed, injured, or exiled a sixth of the adult male Palestinian population to crush a revolt. Earlier in Gaza in 1917, and later in Iraq in the 1920s and 30s, the British used poison gas to break resistance. Ben-Gurion understood a harsh truth. The Palestinians would never accept their dispossession, and so to secure his new state, he needed to use overwhelming force, what his rival once called an iron wall the natives cannot break through. In April of 1948, Ben-Gurion wrote to an operative in Europe to try and import scientists who could increase the capacity to kill masses. Many of Europe's greatest minds were talented Jewish scientists displaced by the Holocaust, and David Ben-Gurion invited them to Israel. But Israel did not have the capacity to go nuclear alone. It would need an ally, and one old colonial power, its own empire crumbling, was ready to help.
Are you having trouble trying to keep up with your professor? You've got to try Otter. Here's how it works. Let's say I'm in class. I just hit record, and as you can see, everything I'm saying is turning into a transcript as I talk in real time. Because Otter is transcribing everything, I can actually listen to the professor rather than trying to type everything down, or I can zone out for a minute. I know that nothing is going to be missed, and I will be able to refer back to this transcript. If you're attending by Zoom, Otter will even capture any slides that were shared during the lecture. Imagine being able to refer back to perfect notes from all your classes for the whole semester. By the way, everything I'm showing you is free. Here's the best part. So after your class is over, you'll receive an AI-generated summary. It contains a summary of what was discussed and timestamps for the different topics shared. There's also a chatbot where you can ask questions about the lecture. For example, you could say, give me a 10-question multiple choice quiz and hide the answers. This will prompt Otter Chat to create a quiz for you based on the lecture. You could also ask, did the professor mention what will be on the test? Otter will search through the transcript and find any time the professor might have mentioned what would be on the exam. As someone who used to spend a lot of time writing and searching through notes, Otter has been a game changer. And I hope you'll check it out too. Give it a try. It's free.
With Base 44, a simple sentence becomes your website. Page after page, ready for business. Plug in what you need, connect payments, sync calendars, and voila, watch notifications fly in. Sales, bookings, the good kind of noise. Edit, well, everything. Drop-in motion libraries. Give your site more life. From header to footer. Every click tracked. Every action visible. Connect your domain so it's officially yours. And as you go bigger, your site does too. Build what's in your head. Base 44.
France, by the early 1950s, was terrified. The Second World War had wrecked the country, and its colonial empire was unraveling from Vietnam to Algeria. French leaders believed only the atomic bomb could guarantee their independence from the Americans and the Soviets. In the early 1950s, construction began on France's nuclear facility at Marcoule. France had the engineers and the industrial muscle for an atomic program, and they could still extract uranium from their African colonies. But it needed help with physics and especially advanced computing, where Israeli scientists excelled. Israelis became vital to the French nuclear weapons project, and were the only foreigners with access to the Marcoule nuclear complex. France became Israel's primary arms supplier, and as Arab independence movements swept through France's colonies in Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia, Israel provided intelligence to help crush them. At the United Nations, Israel voted alongside France to deny these nations their independence. David Ben-Gurion advised Charles de Gaulle to partition Algeria between the French settlers and the native people. This was, in his words, the only definitive solution to the Algerian problem. De Gaulle referred to this plan as a French Israel in Africa. In 1956, France, Britain, and Israel conspired to invade Egypt, whose president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, had nationalized the Suez Canal and was aiding the Algerian struggle for freedom. Israel struck first, launching a surprise invasion of the Sinai, slaughtering civilians in Gaza along the way, and pushing deep into Egyptian territory. The following invasions by the French and the British, two exhausted colonial empires, failed, and international pressure from the United States and the Soviet Union forced the invaders to retreat, leaving behind thousands of dead Arabs. In the aftermath, the French Prime Minister, Guy Mollet, felt France owed the bomb to Israel. By 1958, Israel began to work on a nuclear complex in the Negev desert at Dimona. The French agreed to build a 24-megawatt nuclear reactor. They could claim this was for peaceful research, but buried underground was the real prize. A secret 6-story chemical reprocessing plant. This was the real smoking gun. While a nuclear reactor can make energy, a reprocessing plant's only purpose is to turn the reactor's spent fuel into weapons-grade plutonium. That is how you build an atomic bomb. In February of 1960, as France's brutal war in Algeria neared its bloody conclusion, France detonated its first nuclear bomb in Regan, Algeria, with a yield of more than 60 kilotons, 4 times bigger than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. 20,000 meters in the air above, American U-2 spy planes were watching everything unfold, and they noted that there in the desert, alongside the French, stood an Israeli scientific team. This was two nations sharing one nuclear test. Israel now had the blueprints to go nuclear. Since the Second World War, the United States had publicly opposed nuclear proliferation, the spread of nuclear weapons to other countries. So when reports began to trickle in of a strange facility being built in the Negev desert, it started to raise questions. The Israelis told President Eisenhower that it was just a textile factory. The Americans, still upset over Israel's secret military buildup before the 1956 Suez invasion, now kept a close eye on Israel with their U-2 spy planes. What they saw in 1958...
I want y'all to notice where they got Dimona at. Where it's at on the map. You dig what I'm saying?
Over Israel's secret military buildup before the 1956 Suez invasion now kept a close eye on Israel with their U-2 spy planes. What they saw in 19 now kept a over Israel's told facility being built spread since the Second World War, the United States had publicly opposed nuclear proliferation, the spread of nuclear weapons to other countries. So when reports began to trickle in of a strange facility being built in the
Look where that mug is at.
To other countries. So when reports began...
Look where Dimona is. Way in the desert.
And to trickle in of a...
Look. It's in the Negev.
Strange facility being built in the Negev desert, it started to raise questions. The Israelis told President Eisenhower that it was just a textile factory. The Americans, still upset over Israel's secret military buildup before the 1956 Suez invasion, now kept a close eye on Israel with their U-2 spy planes. What they saw in 1958 was clearly not a textile factory. It was a near carbon copy of the French nuclear plant at Marcoule. From above, the U-2 pilots could see the outlines of what would later be hidden underground. We saw enough to know that it was going to be a chemical reprocessing plant. When the CIA briefed President Eisenhower on the evidence of Israel's nuclear weapons program, he showed no interest and asked no questions. In December of 1960, a New York Times reporter, John Finney, met with John McCone, the chairman of the American Atomic Energy Commission. McCone was furious, telling Finney they lied to us. They told us it was a textile plant. The New York Times broke the story on the 19th of December 1960, 2 years after the U-2 pilots first sounded the alarm. Ben Gurion dropped the textile plant lie, but claimed that the Dimona nuclear plant was only for peaceful purposes. Inside the American State Department, officials quietly admitted that Americans had most likely paid for the Dimona plant. It is clear that they have constructed this plant through diversions from private and public aid to Israel. The Eisenhower administration ignored everything. In 1961, as Eisenhower left office, he told Congress that Israel has no plans for the production of atomic weapons. But privately, during a transition meeting with the incoming Kennedy administration in January of 1961, the Eisenhower team revealed that the Israelis were actively trying to produce weapons-grade plutonium. President John F. Kennedy was much tougher on nuclear proliferation. In May of 1961, he met with Ben Gurion, who now claimed that Dimona was for desalination. The Egyptians next door were growing increasingly worried of Israel's nuclear potential. Kennedy began to demand regular inspections of Dimona. Yearly American inspections began in 1962, but only on Israel's terms. American experts were kept away from key areas and were lied to about the reactor's purpose. The Israelis even built a fake control room with displays outputting false readings to simulate a small 24 megawatt research reactor, which Israel claimed Dimona was. The inspectors were told that they couldn't see the reactor's core for safety reasons. This kept them from noticing that the Dimona reactor was running far hotter than Israel claimed. To hide the massive chemical reprocessing plant buried underground, the Israelis built fake walls and plastered over elevator doors to block access. The lead American inspector, Floyd Culler, left believing that Dimona was just a standard research reactor, never suspecting what lay buried beneath. Years later, he stated vital information was withheld from him. No one had told him that years earlier, American U-2 pilots had photographed the construction construction of an underground chemical reprocessing plant. In the end, the inspections failed. By 1966, the Dimona plant was complete and feeding plutonium into Israel's secret weapons program. On the 28th of May, 1967, Israel secretly assembled 2 nuclear bombs, codenamed Temple. Israel had just become a nuclear-armed state. A week later, Israel launched a surprise attack on Egypt, starting the Six-Day War. Although the Temple bombs were never used, their existence was an insurance policy for the surprise attack. 2 bombs weren't enough though. Dimona's plutonium was only a beginning. Building a true nuclear stockpile demanded more raw materials and more technology than Israel could ever produce on their own.
Apparently you can go from 0 to a complete site in just a single prompt with Wix Harmony. I don't know if this is going to be possible. Where vibe coding meets drag and drop freedom. We'll see about that. All right, let me try to make up a site to sell some like theoretical kombucha. Make me a site about kombucha. Make it look nice and pretty and highlighting the product. Refine my prompt. Okay, let's do that. All right, that's so much better. All right, generate my site. So now Aria, my AI assistant, is planning things out a bit, so I'm going to let it cook. Okay, just finishing the build. And wow, are you kidding me? I typed in like the dumbest prompt and then I refined it. Then I generated a site. Now I have an actual website. Oh, and I like how I have full customization. Like, look at this. I could just change the text. I could change the corners, the formatting, the menu, or I could ask Aria. I really like this hybrid approach where AI does like a bulk of the speed work at the beginning and then I have the control to customize it at the end. It blends vibe coding, agentic AI, and drag and drop all into one editor. And here I am in the center just making any adjustments I want. So with Wix Harmony, you get flawless functionality, total security, and lightning speed from the get-go. Behind the scenes, Wix is handling all security and site management, so you can just focus on optimizing your website. So go ahead and make a website today.
Whoa, man, amazing car. When did you become a millionaire?
What is this for?
We're trying to get advice for...
In the 1960s, far from the desert of the Negev, in Pennsylvania, at the Apollo plant of Nuclear Materials and Equipment Corporation, known simply as NUMEC, at least 200 to 300 kilograms of highly enriched uranium vanished. For years, this was covered up, but decades later, declassified documents and CIA testimony confirmed what many had long suspected. Israel had stolen it. Top Israeli intelligence agents, including Raphael Eitan, famous for the capture of Adolf Eichmann, had visited NUMEC under fake identities. By 1968, US intelligence had quietly noted a worrying detail: traces of highly enriched uranium bearing the unique Portsmouth signature from the US government's own Portsmouth gaseous diffusion plant that supplied NUMEC had appeared at Dimona. The issue was that Israelis didn't yet have the facilities to enrich uranium. The scandal was buried. As one nuclear official put it, it was one of the most glaring cases of diverted nuclear material, and yet nobody wanted to find out what was going on. The search for the stolen uranium forced NUMEC to exhume radioactive waste burial pits in 1965. Obviously, the material wasn't there, but the cleanup of that operation is set to cost the American taxpayer $350 million. Stealing uranium was only the beginning. Israel didn't just need fuel, it needed hardware. During the 1980s, one Israeli spy network known as LACAM smuggled from the United States hundreds of crytons, which are tiny switches that ignite nuclear bombs. They were smuggled to Israel through a company owned by a LACAM operative, Arnon Milchan, now a billionaire and famous Hollywood producer behind works like Pretty Woman and 12 Years a Slave. He is currently at the center of a massive bribery scandal with Benjamin Netanyahu. In the 1960s, Israel struggled to master centrifuge technology, the machinery used for uranium enrichment, until 1972, when Milchan's team bribed a German Urenco employee to misplace the blueprints for advanced gas centrifuges temporarily in the vicinity of Milchan. Photographs of these designs suddenly appeared in Israel to boost its program. The same Urenco blueprints were stolen by Pakistan's AQ Khan, which is why Israel and Pakistan's centrifuge designs are near identical. Israel's enrichment technology is also near identical to Iran's, who bought Khan's blueprints. They are so similar that it is widely believed that Israel was able to test the Stuxnet virus on its own centrifuges before unleashing it on Iran. The head of LACAM in the 1980s, Raphael Itan, was the handler for Jonathan Pollard, a US intelligence agent who sold 500,000 pages of classified American documents to Israel for years. He sold things like the codes to intercept American diplomatic communications. The classified information he stole eventually leaked to apartheid South Africa, Pakistan, and the Soviet Union. Pollard now lives in Israel, where he advocates for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. By the 1980s, Israel had everything it needed: uranium, triggers, centrifuge designs, and American state secrets. It was about to get an even more powerful asset: total silence from the White House. Because after John F. Kennedy, no American president would ever try to stop Israel's nuclear program again. By 1968, CIA Director Richard Helms informed President Lyndon B. Johnson that Israel had successfully built nuclear weapons and trained their pilots on how to drop them. But just as the Treaty of Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, the NPT, was being finalized, which was an agreement aimed at stopping the spread of nuclear weapons, the Johnson administration decided to ignore Israel's nuclear program. If the Israeli bomb became public knowledge, the Arab states would most likely refuse to sign the treaty, a treaty designed to prevent exactly what Israel had just done. At this time, the Israelis were trying to buy Phantom jets from the US. These were nuclear-capable jets. Some in the Johnson administration wanted to condition the sale on Israel signing the NPT. Johnson sided with the Israelis, telling his staff, "Sell them anything they want. Don't bother me with this anymore." In a 1969 meeting between President Richard Nixon and Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir, Nixon agreed the US would never again question the Israeli nuclear program, and inspections would stop. Prime Minister Meir agreed not to test a nuclear weapon, never to make their existence public, and to not be the first to introduce nuclear weapons to the Middle East, a phrase Israel still uses today. The United States had just gone from careless observer of the Israeli nuclear program to its enabler. Free from any restrictions, the Israelis began to produce as many nuclear weapons as possible. By 1973, Israel had built at least 20 nuclear weapons. After the 1967 war, Israel had conquered massive amounts of territory from its neighbors. Soon after, the UN passed Resolution 242, which called for the return of the captured lands. Israel refused to comply. Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on October 6, 1973, to retake lands lost in 1967. Israel's military was caught off guard. Egyptian forces crossed the Suez Canal, while Syrian troops stormed across the Golan Heights, pushing deep into territory Israel had occupied. Israeli commanders panicked. Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Dayan claimed this is the end of the Third Temple. In Washington, President Nixon and Henry Kissinger held back on rushing arms to Israel, hoping that if the Arabs could regain some territory and some dignity, and Israel took a few hard hits, it might open the door to a permanent land for peace deal. Shaken by the massive losses, Prime Minister Golda Meir and her cabinet decided to ready their nuclear arsenal. If the Arabs advanced further, Israel would activate the Samson option, taking out the whole region. Missile launchers were put on standby, and the F-4 Phantom jets were reportedly loaded with nuclear bombs, with Cairo and Damascus in their sights. Israeli leaders made their nuclear preparations visible so that both the Americans and the Soviets watching overhead noticed. The Soviets likely passed a warning to their Egyptian and Syrian allies, which may help explain why the Syrian forces, who had advanced rapidly at first, suddenly slowed their offensive after October 7th. Henry Kissinger, who had coolly planned to let Israel take some hits so he could negotiate a peace treaty, suddenly flipped overnight. James Schlesinger, then the American Secretary of Defense, reported Kissinger just turned around totally. He got a little hysterical. The Israelis received an immediate and a massive resupply of American weapons and ammunition. A month later, when Kissinger met Egyptian President Anwar Sadat in Cairo, he admitted it was serious, more serious than you can imagine. France stopped supplying Israel with uranium after 1967. Israel's new partner in nuclear cooperation became apartheid South Africa. In March of 1976, Shimon Peres visited South Africa, and a month later, South Africa's Prime Minister Vorster, imprisoned during World War II for being a Nazi, visited Israel. Israel offered to sell the apartheid regime nuclear-capable Jericho missiles, although the deal eventually collapsed because of the high cost. South Africa did, however, provide Israel with over 600 tons of yellowcake uranium in exchange for Israel helping them build their own nuclear weapons program. For years, Israel defied an international arms embargo to trade weapons with apartheid South Africa and trained their security forces on how to more efficiently brutalize an occupied population. The two regimes shared not only arms but ideology. As one Israeli official stated, they are also European settlers standing against a hostile world. 6 years later, during the night on the 22nd of September 1979, an American satellite named Vela 6911 detected something alarming off the coast of South Africa. A double flash, the unmistakable signature of a nuclear explosion. The Vela satellites had been orbiting Earth since the 1960s, designed specifically to detect violations of the 1963 Partial Test Ban Treaty, which prohibited nuclear tests above ground or underwater. As one insider said, someone had let something off that the US didn't want anyone to know about. South Africa did not yet have nuclear warheads. The only nuclear capable state that had the motive and the ability to carry out a nuclear test was Israel. President Jimmy Carter convened an emergency meeting in the White House Situation Room. His diary entry for that day said there was indication of a nuclear explosion in the region of South Africa. Either South Africa, Israel using a ship at sea, or nothing. Carter's instincts weren't wrong. 3 of the US Navy's acoustic sensors on Ascension Island detected an explosion, and the Naval Research Laboratory confirmed that it matched signals detected during earlier French nuclear tests in the Pacific. The radiation from the event irradiated sheep as far away as Australia. Leonard Weiss, a Senate nuclear advisor at the time, was briefed by intelligence agencies. He wrote, "The weight of the evidence that the Vela event was an Israeli nuclear test assisted by South Africa appears overwhelming." According to one Israeli source, it was the 3rd such test in the region. The 2-kiloton detonation was supposed to be masked by a passing storm, but a gap in the clouds allowed the Vela satellite to catch a brief glimpse. Acknowledging that this was an Israeli test was inconvenient. Elections were coming up, the Camp David peace accords had just been signed, and Carter had built his presidency on nuclear arms control. If Israel's involvement was made public, it would force the administration to sanction Israel. So the White House buried it. Privately, Carter knew the truth. In February of 1980, his diary noted, the Israelis did indeed conduct a nuclear test explosion in the ocean near the southern end of Africa. Israel faced no consequences for violating the Partial Test Ban Treaty or the 1977 Glenn Amendment, which dictated that if a state detonates a nuclear device, they will be sanctioned. And so, Israel's nuclear program only expanded. By the 2000s, it possessed nuclear weapons deliverable by American jets, by German submarines, and by Israeli missiles. Israeli nuclear policy today is guided by what is known as the Begin Doctrine, named after Menachem Begin, who led the Irgun militia that blew up the King David Hotel in 1946 and massacred the Palestinian populations of villages like Deir Yassin in 1948. Begin called the massacre at Deir Yassin splendid, and then he was voted Prime Minister of Israel. The Begin Doctrine is simple. Israel can have nuclear weapons, but no other state in the Middle East can. This doctrine came into action in June of 1981 when Israeli jets using American satellite imagery bombed Iraq's Osirak nuclear reactor. The strike destroyed the facility before it ever came online. It was the world's first attack on a nuclear reactor. The attack itself was controversial even within Israel. The director of the Mossad and the head of military intelligence both opposed it, arguing that there was no concrete evidence that Iraq could even build a nuclear bomb. In 1986, Mordecai Vanunu, a former nuclear technician at the Dimona facility, leaked photographs and descriptions of Israel's nuclear weapons program to the London Sunday Times. Vanunu's images revealed a massive underground plutonium plant. Through his bravery, the global community for the first time was able to estimate the sheer scale of Israel's arsenal. Around the world, there were always rumors that Israel had a small, mostly antiquated atomic arsenal, but the Sunday Times report showed Israel had stockpiled dozens of sophisticated nuclear weapons. Vanunu told the Sunday Times that he believed the Israeli nuclear stockpile totaled more than 200 warheads, 10 times what the CIA and Defense Intelligence Agency estimated. Soon after the story was published, Mossad agents lured Vanunu to Rome, drugged him, and smuggled him back to Israel. He was then tried in secret and spent over a decade in solitary confinement. Israel had built its nuclear arsenal in secret, with barely disguised American support, and shattered the global effort to prevent nuclear proliferation. As one analyst put it, Israelis blazed a trail for the Pakistanis. Under US law, Israel's nuclear program should have triggered automatic sanctions. Pakistan was sanctioned in 1997 for its nuclear program. Taiwan was pressured to abandon theirs. Iraq was supposedly invaded for its WMDs, and now the US has bombed Iran to halt its nuclear program. All while Israel remains the largest ever recipient of American aid. In 2018, it was revealed that 4 consecutive US presidents, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Trump, wrote private letters to Israel that the US would never press the nuclear issue. Israel is now upgrading its facilities at Dimona and building more advanced nuclear delivery systems that can strike any city in the Middle East. Publicly, the US still pretends it doesn't know Israel has nuclear weapons. Helen Thomas famously asked President Obama in 2009,
Mr. President, do you know of any country in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons?
With respect to nuclear weapons, I don't want to speculate.
This was a lie directed at his own people to protect a foreign state. While Netanyahu has been claiming Iran is weeks away from a bomb for 30 years, Israel increasingly flaunts its nuclear might. In 2023, an Israeli politician called for dropping doomsday weapons on Gaza, declaring only an explosion that shakes the Middle East will restore this country's dignity. The Israeli heritage minister advocated for dropping a nuclear bomb on Gaza. Israel has grown increasingly erratic and violent as it has flattened Gaza, killed hundreds in the West Bank, invaded Lebanon and Syria and bombed Yemen, assassinated Iranian scientists, and now bombed Iran itself. Human rights groups and genocide scholars are calling Israel's campaign in Gaza genocide, while Netanyahu screams that no one will stop us, not The Hague. Netanyahu has said that Iran must face a credible nuclear threat. He stood in front of the Dimona reactor and threatened that Israel can also wipe countries off the map. Iran has faced a nuclear threat for years. In a leaked email in 2015, Colin Powell wrote, "The Iranians can't use one even if they finally make it. The boys in Tehran know Israel has 200, all targeted at Tehran." Israel has already dropped several Hiroshima bombs worth of explosives on tiny Gaza. They clearly do not mind unleashing mass destruction. Israel's nuclear arsenal grows outside of any treaty. It is beyond any inspections, and world leaders ignore its obvious existence, even though nuclear war is one of the things most humans place at the top of their list of fears. After Israel's 2014 war on Gaza, 18 Arab UN members pushed for Israel to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty. It is the only state in the region that hasn't. They also asked them to place their arsenal under IAEA inspection. They didn't ask for it to be dismantled, they simply asked for regular international law to be applied to Israel. There were 161 votes in favor and 5 against. Those 5 were the United States, Israel, Canada, Palau, and Micronesia. And this policy, this double standard, puts everyone at risk. Nuclear proliferation is an existential threat to humanity. Iran's desire for nuclear weapons exists because there is already a nuclear threat in Israel. Worse still, Israel has not only built its own bombs in secret, it has spread nuclear technology to other countries, fueling the nuclear proliferation it claims to fear. If the United States truly wanted peace, it would force Israel to the table, linking denuclearization to security guarantees and the end of the genocide against Palestinians. But that would mean addressing the truth, Israel's weapons. By turning a blind eye to Israel's nuclear weapons while continuously arming Israel in violation of its own laws, the United States has signaled to the world that international law doesn't really exist. Why would any nation follow the rules while Israel didn't and Iran was bombed despite allowing inspections and pursuing negotiations? This invites other nations to break the rules, threatening a future where every conflict risks going nuclear, or a repeat of an increasingly isolated Israel spreading nuclear weapons to its allies like it did with apartheid South Africa. Israel joining the Non-Proliferation Treaty and accepting inspections is the only way to build a nuclear-free Middle East, which has to become the goal. The only alternative is an arms race that will doom millions of people. To understand just how close to midnight nuclear weapons can drag us, I really recommend watching Red Atoms. It is a fascinating series about the rise of the Soviet nuclear program, how it began as a promise of atomic-powered communism and ended in catastrophe at Chernobyl.
So now we can't sit here and say like we don't know. Now you got all the information on it. You dig what I'm saying? And I think before I let this go into information overload, you dig what I'm saying? I think we probably need to reset, because if I jump into this right here, the Sampson option, right? The book written by Hirsch about Israel's nuclear arsenal and its American foreign policy. You dig what I'm saying? What if? But you know, your brother, you dig what I'm saying? I think they think we, you know, we just stuck in a wasp. That's all we read. Nah, you be sadly mistaken. You dig what I'm saying? So I think before we even really get into this, I probably should let it reset and then come back and do another one tomorrow morning as we get into this. You dig what I'm saying? I'll drop the link real quick. Anybody want to jump on and talk about what we did see? Because who knew? Who knew that if Israel didn't win, that, you dig what I'm saying, they was willing to blow it all up? Who knew? You dig what I'm saying? Let's get a joint real quick. Hold on. Let's get one of these joints real quick. Shout out to the undergrads. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to the undergrads. You dig what I'm talking about?
We rise from dust where the strong men fell, reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the wise ones look. And these are from the scriptures of the Lord's third book. We rise from dust where the strong men fell, reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the wise ones look. And these are from the scriptures of the Lord's third book. In the ark of Rupta, the heavens wide, the Lord descended through the fiery tide to Guadama's land where the rivers bend, calling his children to rise again. He said, where are the hens, my sacred band? The quiet minds who still understand, not the kings in gold, nor the towers tall, but the humble who measure and build for all. They came from the valleys and mountain veins, from the lands of copper and silver plains, not dressed in jewels nor armored pride, but with clean hands and the truth inside. They built canals where the waters flow, squared the stone where the temples grow. Silent strength, the meek refine, the greatest people the Lord could find. We rise from dust where the strong men fell, reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the chosen look. We are and shape the world in the Lord's third book. We rise from dust where the strong men fell, reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the chosen look. We are and shape the world in the Lord's third book. The pride grew strong in the Ahorn land. The kings took power with a soldier's hand. Temples rose up of copper and gold, but the hearts of the people were dark and cold. The hens warned of the coming test, but the war drums beat in the east and west. The Lord grew weary, his angels fled, and spirits of darkness ruled instead. Then came the Onguis, fierce and bright, born from the unions of day and night. They hunted and fought by the river's line, carving their laws in flesh and time. They learned the fire from the stones they struck, built their nets and spears by luck. Yet even in war, the plan still stood. The Lord would turn it all to good. We rise from dust where the strong men fell, reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the hunters look. Long we left a mark in the Lord's third book. We rise from dust where the strong men fell,
Reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the hunters look. The armies left a mark in the Lord's third book.
A light broke forth where the blood had dried. The eye-hand wisdom met the always pride. From war and hunger, the new race came. The Gans walked forth in Jehovah's name. They learned to plow and how to chisel the stone. And raised up temples with the hands of their own. No idol or master to chain their view. They labored in rhythm, the world made new. Their prophets spoke of the law within. A balance that cleanses the dust of sin. They taught that work was a prayer in time, and peace was the art of the soul refined. They gathered the nation, the fierce and meek, to build one tongue for the truth to speak. They broke their soul chains, and the dark cloud shook and rose enlightened and united in the Lord's third book.
We rise from dust where the strong men fell. Reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the faithful look.
So y'all want to say that the brother won? Y'all can say what you want to. Y'all voted the way y'all voted. I ain't hurt.
King Selah Shalom, another victory. Hail me the king, cause that's what it tend to be. War child got crushed, I took him out his misery. Swing swords cut his vocal cords quite sufficiently. Zion under my feet met his defeat instantly. Trying to compete, run a retreat before you mention me. In the Coliseum, I got eyes on my enemies. In mausoleums, I'ma leave them for coming centuries. Headshot fatal, couldn't recover from his injuries. Bloody gore, ligaments tore. Did him vicious, gut him to the core. Give him some more, straight consistent, settle the score. Cause I'm for sure another victim. Cut through Zion like a knife, decapitate, take life. Put his head on the altar for the ultimate sacrifice. For years you've been living lies, following the myth in the sky. Greco-Roman theology through Ethiopian eyes. You just as blind as Christians who thinking Jesus is why. Truth in front your face and you seem they can't get it right. Jah Rastafari, not gonna save your life. Real killers moving silence in the shadow of night. The sleeping giant awoke, you know it's been a while. Coming out of hibernation, hungry, thirsty on the prowl. When the conquering lion growl, it echoes about a mile. I'm the real god of war, this nigga just a war child. Sacrifice him to his god, now his soul's immortal. Walking through the valley of death on brimstone tiles. Zion wanted smoke, got suffocated by poison clouds. If you can't take the heat, get the hell out the kitchen now. Standing on my square and I'm here to retain the crown. This debate Coliseum, I'm bringing the building down. 2 years ago we told you a new sheriff was in town. Battle of the holy books, bitch, we backed you niggas down.
Woo! Man, it's hot up in this case, man.
King Selah.
Some readers ask,
The OSPI says the Ihans were white and yellow and the Druks were brown and black. Isn't that racial discrimination?
It's a heartfelt question, and it deserves a thoughtful answer. The answer is no. The OSPI is not promoting racism. In fact, it teaches that all souls are children of Jehovih, no matter the form they take. But this verse is often misunderstood, especially if we read it through a modern lens. This passage is describing very ancient symbolic lineages. The Ihans were a temporary spiritually guided race, small and gentle, born of spiritual and earthly unions. The Druks were the offspring of disobedient unions between early humans and higher beings, denser in vibration, but still loved. These were not modern races, but spiritual categories from a long past era. In OSPI, colors like white, yellow, brown, and black do not represent race or value. They represent spiritual vibration and density of soul condition, much like an aura. It is about light and evolution, not judgment. Waspe teaches that the true measure of a soul is not color, form, or title, but how it lives, loves, and serves. We rise not by what we look like, but by how brightly we shine Jehovah's light. So no, this verse is not discrimination. It is a symbolic echo of early spiritual evolution. We must read with discernment, not fear. And above all, remember, the Creator judges no soul by form, only by light.
The J, the E, the H, the O, the V, the I, the H, Jehovah. The J, the E, the H, the O.
Say it clear.
The V, the I, the H, Jehovah. The J, the E, the H, the O. The V, the I, the H, Jehovah. The J, the E, the H, the O.
Say it clear.
The V, the I,
Yeah.
the H,
Jehovah. This ain't hype. This here instruction, not a brand name faith, no man's production. The name before the ink set rules in stone. Low spoken truth still moves the zone. Not a man, not flesh, not a king on a throne. The all knowing, all light, all breath, all tone. No image carved from, no figure was framed. Just force and effect when the source ain't named. Felt that you don't care the name for power or clout. You say it when you're lost and finding your way out. Every soul got a path and a pace to keep. Jehovah ain't rushed and gave you space to breathe. I'm not preaching a gospel, just speaking the facts, giving food for the soul to every seat in the mass. Speak the name out loud, let the meaning connect. Jehovah, the creator, the source and effect. Bless.
The J, the E, the H, the O. The V, the I, the H, Jehovah. The J, the E, the H, the O.
Say it clear.
The V, the I, the H, Jehovah.
No middleman needed, no golden gate, no fear-based obedience, fate on your plate. Ooh. You live right, create definite light, and reassess the journey so the path is right.
Do it.
Seen belief get twisted for dollar control, where priests extract life from a tolerant soul.
Drain it.
Truth ain't loud, but it sure gotta glow. It's settling slow, digs in and takes hold. Growth over punishment, vision over sudden shifts, might over stubbornness, sight over muddiness. The body keeps record of the race you ran, and death removes the mask from the face of man. Reveal Creator don't need you to come home clean. Only honest with yourself, cause you know where you been. You know.
The J, the E, the H, the O. The V, the I, the H, Jehovah. The J, the E, the H, the O.
Say it clear.
The V, the I, the H, Jehovah.
Ain't no halo earn off a straight convergence. You build up your grade through the weight of service. Every day got it tested. You passed the recent. A rebel in the seasons of your past deceivings.
Don't stay there.
No claps for the works that nobody saw. No credit given back from the cosmic law. Time won't pause for intention stalled. Recording what you chose when your name was called. Faith stays quiet, but it executes, revealing itself when the pressure moves. So insight fades if it stays in the mind. The base is always laid where the steps would align. So stand on it firm when the lights go dim. Let the lessons and words settle deep within. Let it sit. Name ain't power without self-refinement. Jehovah in the will when the soul's in alignment. That's when
The J, the E, the H, the O. The V, the I, the H, Jehovah. The J, the E, the H, the O.
say it clear.
The V, the I, the H, Jehovah. Jehovah. The V, the E, the H, the O.
Say it clear.
The V, the I, the H, Jehovah. Jehovah. Jehovah.
Some readers ask,
The OSPI says the I.
Yeah. Coming in the air,
something heavy intense. Signs in the sky, but they hide the evidence. Old text lining up that predicted events. Or speed a book that make it all make sense. Coming in the air, something heavy intense. Signs in the sky, but they hide the evidence. Old text lining up that predicted events. Or speed a book that make it all make sense. Sirens in the night, nobody shocked at the noise. Yellow tape stretch where they once played as boys. Numbers on the screen turning life to a choice. Timeline scroll quick, life never had a voice. Crowds gather round, but the questions remain. Everybody seen it, but ain't got a name. Patterns in the chaos, but it's easier to blame with whatever narrative the channels want to frame. History buried, but it bleed through the cracks. Old warnings written, now they line up with facts. Same cycles turning, just a different set of acts. Same end result every time it collapses. Nobody asking why the pressure's immense, or why it feel heavier just to exist. Everything loud, laced with suspense, like something got taken without any compense. Coming in the air, something heavy intense. Signs in the sky, but they hide the evidence. Old text lining up that predicted events. Or speed a book that make it all make sense. Coming in the air, something heavy intense. Signs in the sky, but they hide the evidence. Old text lining up that predicted events. Or speed a book that make it all make sense. Books full of knowledge, but the spirit get ignored. Mapped out the stars, they think Saturn's the Lord. Charts on the wall, got them feeling the shore. Cut off anything that ain't measured or explored. Teach what they see, all else is dismissed. Call it blasphemy if it don't coexist with the data they gather in the systems they script. Truth get narrowed down to the lens they equip. People walk around like they stuck in a phase. Talk like they living, but they lost in a maze. Can't tell the difference, real life in the stage. Playing out scripts that they write on a page. Try to speak deeper, get labeled intense. Say it's too much or it don't make sense. But the more that they reject, the more it commence. Like a loop that repeat with a porous defense. Coming in the air, something heavy intense. Signs in the sky, but they hide the evidence. Old text lining up that predicted events. Or speed a book that make it all make sense. Big buildings rise, put a crown on the place. Call it center of the world, everything in second place. Power gets stacked, now it's all about the race. Who can dominate the map, who can regulate the space. Leaders speak loud, but it's all self-interest. Every move calculated, never random in the business. Send waves out with just to widen the distance between those who comply and those in resistance. Glory on display, make it look like it's pure, but behind closed doors, it's a different report. Decisions getting made that the public can't afford, where disease get patented without no cure. Expansion the goal and never knowing it ends. Armies of the gods cleanse the land of descent. Every structure built will eventually bend. When it's rooted in control, it despises free men. Coming in the air, something heavy intense. Signs in the sky, but they hide the evidence. Old text lining up that predicted events. Or speed a book to make it all make sense. Time coming close where it won't be belief. Things getting shown, put the doubters to sleep. Not a matter of opinion, a scientific retreat. When it's sight in the eye, can't deny what it see. Proof in the works, even if it take time. Generations build just to reach that line where the truth stand clear, not hidden in lies. And the ones who deny get washed in the tide. Some will accept, some will turn away fast. Some in the trance to the spells that they cast, but the ship still move it the way that just passed. Answers was written before the questions was asked. Everything aligning, every sign kill fear. Past meet present, now the picture feel clear. What was once questioned now is turning the gears, and the record been there, just ignored through the years. Coming in the air, something heavy intense. Signs in the sky, but they hide the evidence. Old text lining up that predicted events. I speed a book that make it all make sense.
Now, before I get up out of here, man, I always like to show this. You dig what I'm talking about? Because if you got some melanin, you dig what I'm talking about, understand that they've been lying about your story, especially when it comes to those of us who are in America. You dig what I'm saying? I just wanted to show you that. You dig what I'm talking about? If it is that a people can be given a country that they're not even from, all on the strength of words in a book purported to be from a creator, well, then you need to listen up. Copper colored America, you Angui, where you get your word Negro from. Right? Never mind the fact that the Haudenosaunee and the Algonquins still call themselves Anguican, or modern upright men. Right? First of men. Right? So in Owaspy, they describe the Aboriginal Americans, the only book in the world. The American Indian is described. He's called an Angui, the first man. Right? The Angui suddenly came into the world, right? And by this, we can know who they are, right? This is how you're supposed to be able to tell these people who they are today in 2026. The Anguis came suddenly into the world, the Indians, the American Indians. By the thousands and thousands, they came in the north, south, east, and west, and they had long hair. Anybody can have long hair, Cosmo. It's black. Uh-oh. Huh? Well, it's narrowing in. But anybody can have long black hair, Cosmo. But everybody in America doesn't have long, black, coarse hair. And let me tell you who that takes out. It takes out any Mexican. That takes out any Native American. They do not have long, they have long black hair, but it's not coarse. Only the Negro in America has long, black, and coarse hair. Okay? But it goes on to describe these people even further. So the people with long, black, coarse hair, the American Indians, called in the ancient Algonquin tongue, Angui, right? Mind you, the Indians still call themselves that this day, the Algonquins and the Iroquois, Haudenosaunee. But these people were also brown, right? That eliminates the Native American, the 5 civilized tribes, any mestizo type, any Mongol type. You got to be brown with long, black, coarse hair to be an American Indian. But not only brown, copper colored brown. We only talking about American Indians. So if it is that, you know, a people can gain a country and get their indigenous citizenship, right, back to the land that they have, why wouldn't, you know, through a biblical narrative, why wouldn't you take the understanding of the Creator and apply that to yourself with this same text with Owaspy? You're right. It's a very specific shade of brown. Copper color brown. Very specific. And their arms were short, like the Ions. Very proud were these Anguis. They would not mix back with the megalithic builders, the Ahuans. And they dared not mix back with the sacred people, the mound builders, because of the commandments of the Lord. Why? Are they so proud? And why did it bring up their arms were short? Because that's proven spiritual symmetry follows, or physical symmetry follows spiritual symmetry. You're beautiful outside because you're beautiful inside. So these American Indians, the Anguican, Algonquins still call themselves this today, look it up, became a new race in the world. This is 20,000 years ago, though, having all the symmetry of the Iron or the mound builder and the savages of the megalithic builder. And being feeders on flesh and fish, fell under the dominions of the angels of the lower heavens, the inorganic heavens, and they rejected rejected the Lord and God. Why? Because we never praised the God in America. We always understood that man becomes God. We always praised the Great Spirit. Why do you think this place is called Amaruka? They always define it as the place of the big the place of the big soul, the place of the rich land. No, it's the land of the Great Spirit. Maruka. They always try to mix it up with some fancy mythological snake. No, they're misdefining the understanding of the word. Amaru means Great Spirit. Ka is land. Because you got all the symmetry of the mound builder stock and all the savageness of the megalithic builder, pyramidal groups. You never praise God in America. As a matter of fact, every time you tried to, every time it was oppressed upon you, your people don't exist anymore. Huh? What happened to the people who took on the praise of Quetzalcoatl, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost doctrine? This is why Quetzalcoatl was carrying the cross. Y'all didn't know that he was teaching Father, Son, Holy Ghost doctrine, and was one of the 49 false prophets that came before Yeshua was born. This is in the BC times. This is in between 350 and 150 BC, before Yeshua was born in 146 BC. That the time of Quetzalcoatl would have came to America. It was a false prophet up under the God we know today as Christ, a false deity named Luamong, showing that wasn't the first time Luamong had tapped into the American people, groups, and stocks to inspire them to bloody war and now genocide. They don't in extinction. They don't exist. My thing is, pay attention, right? We got to use what's around us. What's the old song say? Can't always get what you want, but if you use what you got, you can get what you need. So, understanding that, you dig what I'm talking about? These copper colored people were left here in America on purpose to prove that, you dig what I'm talking about? First of all, you're the only kind in the world of your kind, right? And the reason why you were left here as a people group as a whole is to prove that man never invents a God that looks like man. It can't be comprehended. Great Spirit can't be comprehended. So any of that stuff where he could be in the sky or sitting on the throne. No, see, we always knew that was our brother, not our father. Look what it said in Owaspy. For I will leave, right, one race of copper-colored people on the earth. That's what Ahuan means, the copper-colored race. I will leave one race of large copper-colored Negroidal people, brown with long black coarse hair, on the earth. Only one. In North America. And they are the North American Indian. We just showed what they look like. Even into the Cosmon era, or to today, 2026. Mind you, the Cosmon era lasts from 1848 to to 48. That's 3,000 years. Niggas gonna be around at least that long. So when they talking about the extinction of Negroes, I think you've overspoken, sir. I'm gonna leave just one of these super spiritual Negroes who are called American Indians in North America. Why? Even till the Cosmic era, even till today. Why? Because man and angels shall see and understand that man of himself never invents a God in the figure of man born of woman. And that only through the inspiration of my enemies, the enemies of the creator. Right? Hold on, let me roll that up a little bit. I'll take that off the screen real quick. And that only through the inspiration of my enemies who build kingdoms in Hara, or the lower parts of the heavens, right here on earth, right? This part that you breathing in, that's Hades, Hara, hell. Take that spookiness up out of it for you. Right? They make it spooky in religion, but in real time, they talking about you. No spooky. In real time, they talking about earth. Heaven is something right above your head. Why you think they've always called it the heavens? For I will leave one race of the copper-colored people on North America, because now they're going to say, cause my knees Ahuans. See these Ahuans? Them ain't no copper-colored people. You can't say them as copper-colored people in America. That mean it was niggers in America before Africans. Oh, wait a minute. That mean it be niggers in America before there was Native Americans, because they're not copper-colored. The copper-colored race is in North America today, y'all. Huh? The Ahuan is in North America, who got long, black, coarse hair and is very specifically colored copper-colored brown. These Ahuans. Huh? Who are in North America, huh? Are who? The Ahuans with long, black, coarse hair in America, who are copper-colored brown in America, who being told they from Africa, but are really the indigenous Americans are today called Negroes, are really the North American Indian. Let that sink in for a second. Makes sense why they always trying to tie you to Africa, right? So you never look up under your feet. Yeah. With that being said, let's play this one, right? Right, we're gonna play this one. Prisoner Paradise. Shout out to the undergrads, man. We out of here, man. You dig what I'm talking about? But before we do that, I want y'all to breathe in, let that light in. You dig what I'm talking about? Breathe in, let that light in. I'm Cosmine, Cloud Kicker, Big Anak Wakaiki. You dig what I'm talking about? And I'm out this thing. Huh? Take notice. If they can just say they Jews with the backing of God, now you got the backing of the God maker who told you I only put you in North America and you the nigga of today, aka the American Indian. You better use it or you gonna lose it. Huh? Religion got you to praise God. They forgot to tell you you was God, man. I'm out this thing.
Golden Gate. Yeah. Golden Gate shining, but the questions remain. Eyes Eyes wide shut as they praise in the name. If heaven is perfect, why the locks on the frame? Prison or paradise?
Somebody explain.
Golden gate shining, but the questions remain. Eyes wide shut as they praise in the name. If heaven is perfect, why the locks on the frame? Prison or paradise?
Somebody explain.
Scriptures describe it with the towers of gold. Angels positioned where the gateways unfold. Trumpets announcing the arrival of souls. Guards at the entrance maintaining control. Crowds moving forward in obedient course. Names getting checked before crossing the doors. Peace is proclaimed while the soldiers remain. Still every entrance is locked with a chain. If nothing but goodness exists in the land, why are there armies with orders to stand? Why would a kingdom of infinite grace need golden gates at the edge of the place? If evil was banished beyond every star, why would a border be needed at all? Something about it is starting to show. Heaven might not be the freedom they told. Golden gate shining, but the questions remain. Eyes wide shut as they praise in the name. If heaven is perfect, why the locks on the frame? Prison or paradise?
Somebody explain.
Golden gate shining, but the questions remain. Eyes wide shut as they praise in the name. If heaven is perfect, why the locks on the frame? Prison or paradise?
Somebody explain.
Prophets described it as cities of light, kingdom suspended in heavenly height. Crowds gather close where the rulers remain. Thrones and dominions declaring their names. Soldiers assembled along every wall. Weapons prepared if the trumpet is called. Marches and banners that circle the throne. Armies protecting the ruler alone. Kingdoms divided by borders of flame. Gods in the heavens competing for reign. Watchmen observing the regions beyond. Anything moves, the kingdoms respond. If heaven is peaceful and nothing can hide, why would an army be standing outside? Why would a ruler need sentries and gates unless there is war in the heavenly states? Golden gate shining, but the questions remain. Eyes wide shut as they praise in the name. If heaven is perfect, why the locks on the frame? Prison or paradise?
Somebody explain.
Golden gate shining, but the questions remain. Eyes wide shut as they praise in the name. If heaven is perfect, why the locks on the frame? Prison or paradise?
Somebody explain.
Oh, I be revealed how the heavens were made. Gods built dominions where spirits were caged. Souls that believed they were rising in grace never could see they were sealed in a place. Leaders appearing as radiant guides, quietly ruling the souls at their side. Borders surrounding the luminous plain, holding the multitudes under its claim. Gates regulating the movement of souls. Who can approach and who never can go? Crowds celebrating the promise they heard, not recognizing the trap in the words. Ages could pass in the comfort they know, praising the rulers who never let go. Look at the gates and the meaning appears. Prison disguised as a heavenly sphere. Golden gate shining, but the questions remain. Eyes wide shut as they praise in the name. If heaven is perfect, why the locks on the frame? Prison or paradise?
Somebody explain.
Golden gate shining, but the questions remain. Eyes wide shut as they praise in the name. If heaven is perfect, why the locks on the frame? Prison or paradise?
Somebody explain.
Golden gates, 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 golden gates.